Working on a modification to the garden tractor. I upgraded the tires to a couple inches larger, get a wider footprint, more stability when mowing on my little side hill. What I ran into is I already modified it once with bigger tires, but now I went a little bigger yet. The deck blade engagement handle is almost hitting the tire, and when I put it fully engaged for the blade, the tire has about half a centimeter of play. So if I bounce on the lawn or something, or it goes up and down, it might hit that handle. And so today I'm gonna go ahead and modify that by welding and fabricating a new piece that will give me a lot more clearance for that tire. The first thing I need to do for this modification is get in there with a gold marker, and I'm going to mark the spot that we have to create the bend and so forth on the actual handle. There we go. So we know the tire, that's where the tire is rubbing. And now I need to fabricate a piece to weld in between that, because I'm not actually going to cut it off and weld. I'm going to go ahead and weld the piece in between there and then cut the middle out, making it much easier to keep the handle in the original configuration. Make sure when you're bending a piece of metal that you have adequate ventilation and wear safety glasses just in case something pops or snaps. You never know. And here we go. And I always wear gloves because this thing gets hot, and preferably use leather gloves, because any other gloves, if you have a rubberized glove like this, it can melt through and burn your hand. This metal gets very hot. Use a locking pliers to hold onto the metal or something of that nature. But try not to use your bare hands, because you'll burn your leather, you'll burn right through it. You can get second and third degree burns when you grab a piece of metal that you've torched. Okay, I've got my bucket of water ready. My safety glasses are on, and I've got the door open for good ventilation. Let's get started. Just waiting for that metal to start to get bright red. When that metal turns bright red, that's where it'll bend the easiest. You can see now it's starting to get a bright red tint. A bright red color. Just like to keep it on it until I see it's solid red. I have my locking pliers at the top of the metal, so I'm not actually grabbing directly onto the metal. I'm grabbing onto the wrench. So now we can see how that metal's nice, bright and red. So now I can actually try to bend it. Oh, look at that. Coming forward really nice and easy. No issues. Get that nice bend in there, just like I want it, and then all the way down. I'm going to try right about there. Now you can see that it's bent fairly easy after a few minutes. And now I just want to see if that's the bend I want for my project. I'll go ahead and take this out of the vise, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to dip it in the bucket. See, now if you would have touched that with your hand, bare hand, you would have had second and third degree burns instantly. And you don't have time. It's just so fast, even trying to pull away, you're still going to be burned badly. I've got the second bend done on this 3/8 inch steel round bar, and I clamped it. You always want to take it back to the project and just double check to make sure that it's not going to collide with any other levers. It's got plenty of clearance between levers. You want to move it back and forth and move the other lever back and forth, because I've got the deck lever here that engages the deck along with the blade next to the blade engagement lever. As you can see, the next step in the process, I've got my bends. I was underneath the tractor. I set up the guidelines for where I wanted to cut the metal round piece here. So I'm going to angle it here so that it fits better and has more weld space, or it connects closer to the other rod. And I'm going to also angle this piece here when I cut it. And you can use an angle grinder. I've got this Milwaukee Fuel. It's a handy, I don't promote anybody, but I've got several. It's a couple different grinders for metal work. And this little handheld, it does pretty good. It's not as strong as a 12 volt, as a 24 volt or 18 volt or whatever. It does pretty decent. If you don't push too hard, it'll cut right through, and it's fairly fast without having to worry about plugging something in. So I'm going to go do this outside. I'm getting ready to weld the new piece that I fabricated, bent to shape, and once you weld it, it'll melt that metal together. So if they're a little bit off, it doesn't matter. That metal melts right together once you put that once you weld it. I've completed the welds and went all the way around each point. And so now I'm going to go ahead and cut out the middle rod, and I'll have the shape I want. I'll go ahead and clean it up, and I'll paint it, see how it works. Okay, I've cleaned it all up. I've cut out the middle piece of metal that was the original piece, and now it's got the shape I want to go around the tire and leave a lot of extra clearance. So I'm just going to paint it up, install it, and we'll see how it works. The new lever, not the new lever, but the lever is installed, and you can see that now I have plenty of space between the tire. There's plenty of clearance, no issues. I've got at least an inch on the left hand side of the tire. So redesigned, refabricated blade engagement handle on a Sears Craftsman. If you enjoyed this video, click subscribe, like, or make comments. I always enjoy seeing comments. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.